Now, as you guys already know, I'm a huge Sonic fan. So the Sonic 3 movie was one of the most anticipated movies that I wanted to see this year. I'm not even a movie review guy. I know I'm also a grown man. I'm not really the target audience for this movie mainly, even though I grew up with Sonic. Sonic is one of my favorite franchises from my childhood days, and I still am locked into Sonic now. And because of that, I want to tell you how I feel about this movie. Now listen, this will contain spoilers, so I suggest you see the movie ASAP, watch the full thing, and then come back and watch this review. Firstly, I want to get the good stuff out of the way. Shout out to everybody that had a hand to play in how Shadow was portrayed in this movie. Shout out to Keanu Reeves, killed the voice acting, the animation, the video effects. Every time Shadow was on screen, it was a 10 out of 10 performance, no matter what it was, whether it was a fight scene or just a plot line. And I love how they fleshed out the Maria story as well. We got to see Maria and Shadow hanging out. That was very, very cute. I loved all of that stuff. Then we have the fight scene at the end between Sonic and Shadow. Also very, very peak. You get to hear Live and Learn. If you are a Sonic fan, that is the anthem of Sonic Adventure 2 battles. So just hearing that anthem, Super Sonic and Shadow going crazy, fighting in outer space, then you know the whole story from Sonic Adventure. So this was perfect. Also, another stellar performance coming from Jim Carrey. You already know Jim Carrey is a legend, so him playing Eggman and also Gerald Robotnik, which was kind of interesting, and we'll get to that later. I think he crushed both roles. He came there and delivered. He did what he was supposed to do. And if this movie was titled Shadow the Hedgehog and it was just strictly about Shadow and that's all there was to it, maybe I would feel a little bit better than I do now. The bad. I think coming into this movie, I had this expectation that I was going to get a Sonic movie, and I feel like there were elements of Sonic movie in here, but for the most part, it felt like this movie was mainly to be a cool kids movie and less of a Sonic movie. And let me explain. In order to really get you on board of how I feel as a Sonic fan, we have to start with the first movie. Now, the first movie, I kind of gave it like a 7 out of 10. It was laying down the groundwork. There was a lot of time and Sonic dynamic going on. It was cool, it was whatever, but we know it was at least following the classic storyline of Sonic going up against Dr. Eggman. We get it. That was cool. Jim Carrey put up 45 points. We know what it is. Sonic 2 comes around. And I liked this movie more than Sonic 1. I gave Sonic 2 a 9.5 out of 10. I loved it much more. We got introduced to Tails. We got the Knuckles introduction as well. We get the Chaos Emeralds. We get the Master Emerald. We get all of these Sonic lore things. But then there's also the side of the humans that there's a wedding in the middle of the movie that doesn't really need to be there. There are some character introductions that kind of got snubbed. But I figured, you know what? Maybe they're still trying to get the framework of the verse, so at least we're getting teased with the Sonic heroes. We're getting teased with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all teaming up together. Okay, maybe we might be going towards the heroes route for Sonic 3. But no, at the end of the movie, in the post-credit scene, they hint that we are getting Shadow, and this is what started the entire thing. Once everybody saw Shadow, they knew immediately, okay, Shadow's debut game is Sonic Adventure 2. So we are going to get Sonic Adventure 2 lore in Sonic 3. Everybody knew it. That's how the way it was marketed to us throughout the entire year. You have Sonic Shadow Generations dropping. They even dropped a little mini promo anime. You see Rouge the Bats in there, Shadow. Everybody's boxing, going crazy. All the promo of this year was the year of Shadow. It was all about Shadow the Hedgehog. And when it came to Shadow the Hedgehog in the movie, he killed it. So you may be wondering, well, Rob, what's the issue? Why am I upset? Character designs, animation, voice acting, everybody, you guys all killed it. My issues are directly with the writers. And I'm not here to disrespect the writers. Obviously, I'm not a Hollywood screenwriter, okay? I don't have those credentials. But there is something to be said when you are adapting a series that already has lore behind it and you are changing the story. If you're going to make changes to the story, you have to make sure, positively sure, that these changes are peak, that are at least better than the original. And this is the main issue I have with all of these Sonic movies. We know from the Sonic video games, even if you want to talk about the comics or you want to talk about Sonic X the anime, we know for a fact that the Sonic lore is filled with a bunch of different characters that have all different backgrounds, they all play different roles, and then the humans play more of a complementary role, right? The humans are kind of there on the side. I mean, you have key humans, right? You have Maria Robotnik, we know her backstory, we know everything that's going on with that. You have Gerald Robotnik, you have Dr. Eggman. Those are the main humans. If you want to go to Sonic X, you have Chris. Those are the main humans that should ever be mentioned. Other than that, Sonic has so many characters that have to be covered. When you look at the Mario movie, for instance, right? Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Princess Peach, Bowser, Toad, everybody is getting dropped in the first Mario movie. Everybody, all the characters were getting dropped. In the Sonic movie, it feels like we're struggling to get the characters. We are struggling to get the lore. Let me tell you exactly what I mean. If we go back to Sonic 2 and we know it's all about Knuckles, we know exactly that it's going to include history on the Master Emerald. It's going to talk about the Master Emerald. The Master Emerald was going to make an appearance. So why in God's name is Tikal not in the movie? I still am blown away that Tikal did not make Sonic movie 2. But even if the writers are looking at this and saying, you know what, Rob, hear me out. I think we had to cut Tikal out because I don't think Tikal has enough importance or she doesn't have enough popularity to really spend extra budget on her character design and whatever. If that's the decision that was made, fine. Even though I disagree with it because I think Tikal is pivotal to Knuckles' story. If that's the decision you make in Sonic 2, cool, have at it. Fast forward to Sonic Movie 3. Why is Tikal not in the movie now? Knuckles is protecting the Master Emerald. Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic made a pact that they would never go against each other and use the Master Emerald for their own revenge or anything crazy like that. They made that pact together in this movie, right? They talked about it, signed, and said, we're locking it away. Shadow provokes Sonic in a way where he's like, you know what? Hell nah, I'm going for the Master Emerald. I'm fighting Shadow right now. Knuckles, I'm not trying to hear anything you have to say about it. Knuckles, after hearing this, is obviously upset. But not only does he disagree with this, he also tells us that the Master Emerald is being protected and it's in great hands, in great care. Why is there a random human being playing hockey with the Master Emerald, using it as a puck, playing hockey with it? What do we do? Like, who wrote that? Who wrote that? Tikal is literally the Sonic character that watches over the Master Emerald. That is literally spoon feeding you the information, like, put Tikal in a movie. You need someone to protect the Master Emerald, or at least watch over it, whatever. Here, Tikal, and that you can add on to the Echidna lore. It's not just Knuckles there. Tikal should have been name dropped at least if you don't even want to include her character in the movie. How is Tikal not in the movie? It makes no sense. We are 3 movies in. We had the Master Emerald in 2 of the 3 movies and no Tikal appearance has happened. So now, as a Sonic fan, right? I understand from the kid's perspective, cool, whatever, it's fun, hee hee ha ha. But as a Sonic fan, I'm feeling like there's so much lore that's being cut out. What's the premise of this movie? The premise of this movie is to hype up Shadow, talk about Sonic Adventure 2, because that's Shadow's debut game, and a part of Shadow's story is Rouge the Bat. I cannot understand for the life of me why Rouge the Bat was not included in this movie. No disrespect to the actor and actress that played Tom and Maddie. You guys killed it. But the thing is the writers could not find a proper role for you guys to exist in this movie, because there really was no reason for Tom and Maddie to be in this movie at all. Because if you look at the Sonic lore, their entire role in this movie was Rouge the Bat's role. Are you kidding me? Rouge the Bat is literally a spy. She's a jewel thief, which can also help on Knuckles' side and explore Knuckles' lore in the movie as well. But because she's a spy for Gun on Project Shadow, wouldn't you think, hey, we should include Rouge the Bat, who's a spy for Gun, on Project Shadow? Because in the movie you have Gun and Shadow. I can't for the life. I'm blown away that Rouge was not thought about in this movie. I'm blown away that the writers decided to kick her out of the movie and then bring in Tom and Maddie, who when they were introduced in Sonic 3 had no reason to be here because the writers didn't even know what to do with them. They are sitting there chilling. Tom is playing with puppets. Maddie doesn't know what's going on. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles pop up using the ring. They teleport there out of nowhere and they're like, hey, we need you guys to help us with Shadow and blah blah blah. And you know what they say? Good. Thank you. Finally, we were bored. We had nothing to do. Exactly, because y'all weren't supposed to be in the movie. That role was for Rouge the Bat. That entire Rouge the Bat would have added so much lore to the entire thing. It doesn't make sense. We've already skipped over the first Sonic adventure, right? It looks like in Sonic 1, we were going classic Sonic versus Eggman. In Sonic 2, it was Knuckles. So it's like, okay, Sonic and Knuckles, we understand what's going on. Tails is in here. We get it. We see which way you guys are going. But the moment you show Shadow as a character that you're going to introduce next, that means now we are transitioning over to the Sonic Adventure series. Once you're in the Sonic Adventure series, that means you have to start considering characters that are in Sonic Adventure. Big the Cat, Metal Sonic, Amy, Rouge. How are we 3 movies in and we've only covered like 5% of the Sonic cast? canonically speaking, these movies are completely out of order, but it doesn't even make sense for the story. At this point, I'm already going into the ugly. I didn't even finish the bad yet, but I'm already going into the ugly. So we'll just fuse the bad and the ugly together. It doesn't even make sense. At the end of this movie, they showed Amy and Metal Sonic. So they're hyping up Sonic 4 with Amy and Metal Sonic, who are characters that should have already been in these movies already. Imagine the Mario movie being like, hey man, all right, Mario movie 4, we're gonna show Princess Peach. Like what? Princess Peach should have been in the first movie. Amy should have been in the first movie. But if you want to say, okay, the first movie was classic Sonic, okay, fine. Second movie, where's Amy? Oh, okay, you don't want to say Amy's in here. You want to focus more on Knuckles? Well, then Tikal should have been in there. But if you want to keep Tikal out, then Sonic 3, which is Shadow's introduction, we should have at least gotten Rouge the Bat and Amy. Off rip, that's prerequisite. If you are a Sonic movie writer, I'm genuinely asking, and this is me being a fan, what was the decision? I get you're trying to go after comedic effect and you're trying to get the kid audience. I understand that. But I feel like Tikal could have still been in there and you could have made a joke with Tikal. The Sonic characters have lore on their own. They're funny in their own way, and you could use these characters, use the Sonic characters to make jokes. Like I said, Hollywood screenwriting is different. We've seen so many different franchises, so many different IPs once they're getting adapted into live action movies that people are changing stuff. They're changing things because they're trying to appeal to different audiences and all these things. I understand it. Maybe it's not every writer's decision, but when you're talking about the Sonic series, there are certain characters that have to be there. Shadow's story in this movie felt incomplete because Rouge was not included in it. The fact that Sonic doesn't even know who Amy is wild to me. You know, it feels like the Sonic writers are struggling to figure out how to really get ingratiated with the Sonic lore and the Sonic fandom and bringing it into these movies. And that's why they are leaning heavily on Jim Carrey to put up 45 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists every single night. I mean, Jim Carrey had to play Jim Carrey in 2 roles. Dr. Eggman and Gerald Robotnik, Jim Carrey had to play 2 roles. Let Jim Carrey kick his feet up. Let him relax. He's a legend. He's done enough already. Let him breathe. Like, listen, this is a Shadow movie and I saw Jim Carrey on screen more than Shadow. I love Jim Carrey. He's excellent. We all love Jim Carrey, but he's done so much in the movies already. Let the man breathe a little bit. The scenes of Tom and Maddie, cut them out, bring in Rouge. Now we're in the Sonic verse. If you want to include Tom and Maddie in the movies, then you should give them a role that makes sense. You shouldn't remove a Sonic character and fill it up with humans that aren't even in the story at all, that people don't even care about who are Sonic fans, because it doesn't make sense. Jim Carrey did an amazing job, but there's scenes of Eggman and Gerald Robotnik dancing for like 5 minutes. There's scenes of them going to the fair and virtual reality and all these things. What does this have to do with Sonic at all? Like, this is just all filler content praying that Jim Carrey can literally carry the Sonic movies. And that's literally what these last 3 movies have been. Jim Carrey has put the Sonic movies on his back and he's carrying y'all. And I'm like, what are the writers doing? Because Sonic characters have enough lore to them. There's already hella Sonic characters. You have to intentionally cut Rouge the Bat out of the story. You have to intentionally cut Big the Cat. Intentionally cut Tikal out of the story. These are premeditated decisions. This is not, oh, we didn't know that these characters existed, because there's no way you see Shadow's story and don't think, oh, this is Sonic Adventure 2. Okay, Rouge, boom, 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 boom. I mean, even if you look at Sonic Adventure 2, you look at the hero side and the dark side. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, Shadow, Rouge. So how is Rouge not making it? Please, Sonic writers. Please, I'm begging you, look back at the lore of the Sonic characters. Look back at what these Sonic fans really, really want. I understand you're trying to grab a new audience. You're trying to appeal to the new generation, younger kids. We get that, but it is ultimately the Sonic fandom that's going to be supporting this series. If we remember Jeff Fowler, that whole situation with the first movie, we saw the first character design of Sonic and people killed it. And director Jeff Fowler made the great decision to redesign Sonic and everyone loved it. And why? Because he was listening to the fans. He had his ear to the streets. He heard what the Sonic fans wanted and he made the correct decision, because it is ultimately the fans that are going to control how this movie series progresses and how it performs going forward. Use Sonic characters. There's hella characters y'all could have used to fill these roles and make it feel more like it's Sonic. The humans have never had a bigger role than now. This movie literally feels like it's Robotnik the movie featuring Shadow the Hedgehog. Like that's literally how it feels. It does not feel like a Sonic movie. We have mad humans in here that aren't even in the actual story. And I'm not saying completely remove Tom and Maddie. What I'm saying is, if you're going to give Tom and Maddie a role, don't give them a role that's supposed to be a Sonic character's actual role. Tom and Maddie were literally Rouge's entire role. Like, I can't understand why they made that decision. Now, what I'm about to say is maybe a little bit more nitpicky, but I think it needs to be addressed. What timelines are being followed here? At first, we thought it was Classic Sonic. Now, we kind of thought it was Sonic Heroes. Now, we're thinking it's Sonic Adventure. We don't know what's going on anymore, because if we're going past Sonic Adventure 2, at the end of the movie, you hype up Amy and Metal Sonic for Sonic 4. These are characters that should have already been here, and Sonic 4 was really supposed to be Sonic 06 and Silver the Hedgehog. Silver was supposed to be Sonic 4. That was literally following the, like, I don't know what direction they're really going, because if you go the Sonic Heroes route, then it's supposed to be SBO and all that stuff. It looks like you guys said, no, we're not going that way. We're going the adventure route. Cool, if you're going the adventure route, then Silver should literally be next up. You should be doing Silver and Blaze. Those are like the big title games. If you're gonna go the Heroes route, then it should really be SBO, Vector, people like that. Either the writer's room is lacking real Sonic fans, or there are real Sonic fans in the writer's room, but their voices aren't being heard enough. Because there's no way you could be a fan of all the Sonic games and know the lore, and then put a movie like this together and cut out so many characters. I can't understand it. Like I said, it's like the Mario movie being like, hey, the first Mario movie, it would just be Mario and Bowser. The second one, we'll bring in Luigi. The next one, we'll bring in Princess Peach. The next one, we'll bring in Toad. The next one, we'll bring in Yoshi. Now it's 25 years later and we're getting one character every 8 years. Like, what decisions are being made? The Sonic lore is already there. We already have hella Sonic lore. We already have so many different characters. Only the major characters should be used for hyping up the next film. Silver should have been Sonic 4, Silver, Year of Silver. Then you guys market it with a new Silver game. Talk to Sega. Sega, listen, Silver the Hedgehog gets his own game, X, Y, Z. That should have been that already. Amy and Metal Sonic should have already been in these movies, y'all. They should have already been here. Another thing, why did y'all do Knuckles so dirty? Not only did you rob his storyline of Tikal, but you robbed him of King Boom Boo. This is one of the craziest. Listen, if you are a Sonic fan, you have to admit, I don't care if you come out this movie gassing it, the way they pump fake Knuckles is insane. He literally had a scene where he said he was afraid of ghosts. Literally, canon, he was afraid of ghosts. Why wouldn't you say, hey, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic X, King Boom Boo? That is literally Knuckles lore that would have taken you 2 seconds to just do. 2 seconds. This is my issue, and this is what I'm saying. The writers had to intentionally say, nah, we're not gonna put King Boom Boo in the movie. We're gonna pretend we're about to. We're gonna tease that Knuckles is talking about ghosts and then show Casper. What are y'all doing? What? That literally makes no sense. Then we have the Sonic and Shadow fight, which I love, but I personally believe the Sonic and Shadow fight should have been much longer. It felt kind of short, but it was great for the time we had it, but there was a part in it that made no sense. We have a scene where the Master Emerald splits into 7 Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic and Shadow start to race to try to grab the emeralds. And in their attempt to grab the emeralds, a beam of light shows up, and now they're both super. Why wouldn't you think and say, okay, one of the main moves in the entire Sonic series, Sonic fandom, is Chaos Control? Why wouldn't you have Sonic and Shadow grab the Chaos Emeralds and use Chaos Control? The fact that we went through an entire Shadow movie without Shadow using or even saying the words Chaos Control is insane. That is one of the biggest, most egregious crimes that were committed in making this movie. I can't understand why. It's like doing a DBZ movie and not letting Goku use Kamehameha. Literally, I'm not even joking. It's literally like that. Honestly, I don't know, man. I think this movie, first impressions, I'm thinking like 6 out of 10. But when you're talking about the shadow parts are 10 out of 10. but the overall movie to me is like a 6 out of 10. I'll probably watch it again at some point just to see if that's how I feel moving forward. But I just think that, you know, again, the next movie is Amy and Metal Sonic. Like, I'm not really that excited to see it because these are characters that should have already been here. I was excited to see Silver. So you guys let me know down in the comment section below how you feeling with that. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Just wait a second. So I actually had an opportunity to see the movie a second time around, and yeah, my first review, I can say, was a little bit harsh because of the mindset I was coming into with watching the first movie. I actually enjoyed the movie the second time around a lot more because I knew that I wasn't getting the Sonic Adventure 2 adaptation that I was previously looking for. Now, don't get me wrong, I still stand by everything I said, but I'm starting to understand that the Sonic universe, at least in the movie sense, the Sonic cinematic universe is just a completely different universe altogether. I can't go into these movies expecting to see the game or Sonic X or something like that in live action form. We're just taking certain elements here and there, and we're making something completely different. I understand now that the hockey player that was with Knuckles is actually from the spin-off series and all of these things, so I get that now. I still feel like Tikal should have at least had a mention, at least in Sonic 2, but definitely in Sonic 3 if you're using the Master Emerald twice. We know that she sealed chaos in the Master Emerald, and then her spirit was outside of the Master Emerald and all these things, so it would have been nice just to at least acknowledge her existence in the story. Seeing Amy and Metal Sonic at the end of the movie, I still feel like I would have wanted them to be in the movie already. I wanted them to be in the cinematic universe already, but the fact that we are getting them later on the second time seeing it, I'm a little more hyped to see it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little more hyped. Do I still want Silver? Absolutely. Do I still want Blaze? Absolutely. And I do appreciate that they at least mentioned the Chow Garden in the movie, and you see the Chow Garden is used as a restaurant. We know that Sonic fans all around the world, actually Sega knows that Sonic fans all around the world have been begging for them to bring back the Chow Garden. The Chow Garden is one of the most beloved features in the Sonic games, and the fact that the movies have at least acknowledged that the fandom cares about the Chow Garden was a beautiful touch. On seeing this movie the second time around, I would probably give it around an 8 out of 10. I still stand on everything that I said prior though. Tom and Maddie did an excellent job. I do love how they set up Tom and Sonic's dynamic to kind of look like something of Shadow and Maria. That's cool too, I guess, but I feel like their roles as being spies in the movie was completely taken away from Rouge the Bat. I still feel like that is something that should not have happened. And now that we're getting Amy and Metal Sonic, and now canonically things are so out of order, I don't know if Tikal or Rouge is ever gonna have an opportunity to be in this movie. I don't know if Big the Cat's gonna ever have an opportunity to be in these movies because now we are so far removed from the current timeline. Everything is just way out of whack. But I think that's what Jeff Fowler is trying to show us, is that he's taking elements from the Sonic series and he's making his own spin on it, his own verse. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10. You guys continue to support the movies. Definitely go watch it. It's a great watch. Don't go in expecting to see a Sonic Adventure 2 adaptation like me, or you're not going to like it. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.